what's involved here is there's a melodic language that we use to build a solo, and part of that process is taking notes out of the chord structure and making melody from there. You know, because basically the process is a melodic process of improvising, and so yeah, we do build melodic lines from the structure of the chords. But that being said, there's a whole history, if you will, of vocabulary that's already been developed. So we draw from all of that, and you draw from just the creative process in the moment.
How do you learn that? Do you learn it? Is it all part of you? I've always been so amazed by that.
Well, it's a lot like learning to speak verbally. You know, the first thing that you did when you learned to talk was you talked by imitating. You know, what you heard your parents or your siblings say around you, and you absorbed all of that, and you started to say, first of all, you know, the most simple phrases, and then as time went on, you started to learn to have conversations, you know. Then you went to school, and then you started to learn grammar, you know, syntax and all of that. You learn how to conceptually structure sentences and paragraphs and things like that. It's the same here.
See, because I always thought with jazz pianists, it's something you do. It's something, it's not so much what you learn, it's just, I mean,
it's definitely a learning process. And like I say, it's much like speaking. Right. Now, you might have a person who's never gone to school and still may speak very well. And he may have learned to speak merely by imitating someone who spoke good grammar around him, and he may be very articulate. We have that in jazz and players like Earl Garner, who never learned to read music.
Right.
But he was a profound improviser, you know.
But did he go to school? Did he take classes?
Well, from all that I understand, he was primarily self-taught.
But aren't most great jazz pianists seem to be self-taught?
No, not really. I mean, there's a certain amount of self-teaching involved, but most jazz pianists that you hear, especially these days, they've had some kind of training.
I'm thinking more of the old timers. Marion McPart, Hank Jones.
Oh no, these people were all trained.
Really?
Yeah. Marion McPartland. You know, she's great at playing Bach and all those things, and so is Hank Jones. So Hank Jones can sit down and play a Chopin prelude.
But you were all, of course, classically trained first, right?
In most cases, but not in all cases. You know, in most cases, jazz pianists are classically trained first, and by the time they come to this music we call jazz, they already have a certain kind of technical and musical foundation for to build upon. Because improvising is a spontaneous process, and it happens in the moment. You know, you might hear some of the same language, and you might even hear some of the same exact phrases, but they won't be in the same place. The solo would develop differently. You see, if someone wants to play this music, it's a thing that you dedicate much of your life to. A teacher can't really teach you everything about it. He can only, basically the best that he can do is to direct you and to point out things. But you would have to listen. See, the big part of the thing is listening. You can't learn this music in a classroom. You know, it's a listening experience. So I teach at a college, and I tell my students, look, this can't be just a classroom experience. You know, it has to be about what you do when you leave the classroom. You know, what kind of records you listen to, what kind of live performances you hear, how much do you hear it, and all of that is involved. You know, and there's only so much a teacher can do for you. If he's a good teacher, he can do really great things. But what a teacher does is just makes the students aware of the essential things. You know, the student has to do all the work himself.